My name is Mark Principato. I'm the director of the Forex and Futures Training Program here at SMB U. Today, I want to look at the pound dollar, and I want to talk about some trade possibilities that have been coming up in this chart, and this is sort of a follow-up from some analysis that I've done on this pair previously. So looking at the chart here, we can see, first of all, I'm looking at a 4-hour chart. Now, to demonstrate the steps that I do when I conduct analysis, step one is always gain perspective. You can see this line that I drew on the chart, this long trend line. This basically goes back to the bigger picture and connects lows that were made much earlier in this chart's history, which you can't see on this chart here. But that basically tells me that this thing is generally strong. That's a very important piece of information. That helps me get perspective. That means going forward, my expectations of longs are going to be greater than my expectations of shorts. That means if I'm looking for longs, or if I'm taking longs, I should expect more aggressive targets and maybe longer duration trades like swing trades. Now, going further into this chart here, you can see I drew a bunch of levels. Now, I also drew this bearish trend line because a lot of people get confused by this sort of thing. What I want to point out is the bigger picture is bullish. That's step one. Step two is we want to find our important support and resistance levels moving forward. Now, you can see I drew a couple of blue lines here. All right, this top line is my trend retracement line. We've gone below that, which means this thing is not strongly trending, at this stage based on this swing back here. Relative to the big picture, this is a small swing. Okay, looking at this chart, it looks large, but if you zoom out of this thing, this is a pretty small swing. So we went below that trend support, but we've come to a much more important one here by this second blue line, okay? This line here, basically you can see it found support just around this level, and that's around the 65-ish or 64.80 area level, okay, this blue line. It found support. It just so happens that the main trend line happened to be in that area. Okay, I don't trade off of trend lines, but it just so happens this all lined up. Now, moving forward, this is what's important to me. We have already a push off the support. Okay, this is our, what I like to call, initial move. This gives us the possibility of a number of bullish setups. The first setup would be a retracement to this support here, which is the 65.04 area, or basically 65 even area. It's a nice whole number, and that would confirm as a higher low. If we get bullish validation in that area and we get our higher low, then technically I would be expecting a move to a higher high. Ideally, it would take us up to the 66.80 area. Now, 65 area to 66.80, it's not bad. Okay, that's like a nice swing trade. And in my opinion, that's conservative. Since this thing is generally bullish, it is possible that this thing can revisit the high up in that 68 area. Realize though, this is a 4-hour chart. So this type of price action is not something that will unfold in 5 minutes or in a couple of hours. This can take days to weeks. So it's very important to understand that. You have to do a lot of holding. So when you're getting involved in a trade like this, it's important that you do it at the right levels and that you have validation. So that first level, that 65 even area, that's one level. That's the higher low area, or I like to call the point of interest support, okay? There's an additional area. If price pulls back deeper and retests this here, the 64.30 area, that's what I like to call a max fake area. This is where a lot of trend traders or trend followers think that the market is breaking lower, but in actuality it's not, it's a fake, okay? But it needs to validate. I can't assume it's going to be a fake. Price action needs to validate. If I get bullish validation in this zone, which is basically 64.5 to around that 64.20 area, if I get validation in that zone, then I know most likely it's a fake, and I can look for longs there. And if I manage to get into a long there, again, I can look for targets way up into this 68 even area or 68.80s area. All right. If I get the deeper retracement, obviously that's going to be a higher potential trade and a higher probability trade since it's already stretched out. If you get the higher low area, it's possible that that could be more random or it can get more noisy because it's not as extreme. So the key really is looking for validation. You can look for validation on 1-hour charts using this type of stuff. When you get into this zone here, watch for validation on your 1 hour. That could be for day trading setups as well, okay? I wouldn't be opposed to looking for longs for day trades, meaning you're looking to capture 30 or 40 pips just for the day, and then you're done with this thing. If you want to hold on to a little bit of size and let this thing go a little further, that's up to you, okay? Of course, you take on a little bit more risk, but if the trade is in your favor, then how much risk are you really taking? You're just risking giving back what you got, okay? This thing will totally invalidate my long idea is if we close below this zone. If we go below 64 even and we sustain that break lower, okay, and we're pushing lows, then that would change everything. I would stop looking for longs or be aggressively looking for longs. I would reevaluate and possibly consider shorts, on the retracements back up. But, the chart needs to show me some structures before I can actually do that. Okay, so at this point, what we can do is determine our support and resistances going forward. We can look for our areas where we can anticipate validation, and then we can set our targets based on our expectations, which we got from our perspective. If you have any questions about how I come up with this analysis or how I trade such a situation, please send me an email. I'd be happy to answer. Also, make sure to check out my webpage. I have a lot of information on trainings and workshops that I do that can help you improve your trading further. My name is Mark Principato. Thank you for watching. I'm the director of the Forex and Futures training program here at SMB U, and I will see you next time. My name is Mark Principato, and I'm the director of the Forex and Futures training program here at SMB U. If you would like to learn more about the methodology that we use to conduct analysis or employ in our trading, please visit my webpage. Also, make sure to sign up for my free ebook to learn more about how the Forex business works. I hope to see you in my next class. Thank you.